All right, absolutely. Many thanks for staying with us. This is the second conversation of the day, and you're just right on time. But we've asked you a question on our socials regarding, your businesses. Remember, today's all matters entrepreneurship, but we are changing gears a little bit, so we're bringing you interactive conversations. And so remember to send in your feedback. We'll sample it towards the tail, and I promise you, today I will sample. Last week I didn't. Today I'll sample, I promise you. And in this conversation, we're going to delve into matters humanity, from ancient time, history, research, data, all those things. By the end of this conversation, you'd have learned a lot. And we are talking to a very powerful guest who is live with us in studio, Dr. Freda Nkirote. She's an archaeologist and a senior research scientist. And on top of that, she has an interesting event that's coming up. So stick around towards the tail end of this conversation. You get the details of it and how you can get to be part of it. Karibu sana, Daktari.
Thank you so much, Brian.
So tell us a little bit of what you do professionally and why the public, especially the Gen Zs who watch the stations, need to be aware of.
I'm an archaeologist. I do archaeological work. I do research in the field. And then bring materials back to the museum where I do analysis.
Right.
And after the analysis, we do publications which are open to public.
Right.
We also do exhibitions like the one that I'm going to talk about shortly. And we represent Kenya internationally.
Right.
Because we believe Kenya is the cradle of humankind.
Mankind.
And
okay.
so the human, not man.
Oh, human.
Human.
Right, I get the difference.
Yes.
Mankind and human.
Yes.
Right.
And the Gen Zs should be very proud of Kenya. They should actually support it.
Right.
Because it's something that can also offer jobs, only that it's not very well known to them. And so we would encourage them to come to the museum and interact with the researchers to see what they can get from it and what they would want to do with it.
Right.
It's a lot of information that is nowhere else apart from Kenya. And probably even, I think a bit of Ethiopia and South Africa.
Right.
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
When you, an archaeologist, maybe if for a first timer watching, who is an archaeologist and what does he or she do in that forte?
An archaeologist is that person who talks with the cultural materials, not people.
Right.
You look, it's like forensics. You go excavate, you get a lot of different materials, like we get stones, which were used as stone tools.
Right.
We get bones, which will tell us what people were eating and what animals were living there. We get iron, probably. We get pottery. And so we look at those objects to tell us about the cultures and environment of people who are living there during that period. So we date them, and then we know it was during this period that these people are living there. So it's, some people call it prehistory,
right,
because it was before any history was written. It doesn't mean that we didn't have our own histories, we did,
right,
only that it wasn't documented on paper. And so...
And now here you come in as an archaeologist
yes,
to dig in and bring it out.
Exactly, exactly.
So when you, maybe also the locations, because when you start, because research mainly, it means you have to, I'd say, focus on a specific, because I don't know if it's focus group is part of how you do research, yeah? Do you do like a specific geographic location and you go there, study, because now you've spoken of excavating. Do you pinpoint a specific location, go there, study, get to extract the material, and then bring it to the lab or to the museum? What is the process of digging from an archaeologist? Yeah.
In fact, the process of digging, we don't do groups or,
right,
or focus groups.
Right.
What we do is that you have to find something on the surface that tells you that there's something below the surface.
So how do you identify that?
You have to know what you're looking for. We do surveys. And sometimes even the public will come to us with an object and say, I saw this weird thing. Might it be archaeological? What is it? Or they find a bone that is really heavy, that's a fossil, and
right,
they are surprised about it, and they come to the museum and tell us, I found this in a certain place. But we don't encourage people bringing those things to us, because if they do, they have removed them from the context.
Right.
And if they have removed it from the context, then it's no longer useful in terms of research. So we like them to take, either you take a picture or you just report to us that you found something and then we can go look. So it doesn't matter which part of the country that you found that, and then we'll go and check.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter as well if it's outside Kenya or East Africa? Or it's mainly East Africa, or also includes West Africa?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
Africa
but yeah,
at large.
Yeah, because West Africa, they have their own researchers. Kenya, we have our own researchers, and any other. So it's everywhere.
But you guys share notes since we are Africans anyways.
Yes, yes. We have an association of, a Pan-African Association of Archaeologists,
right,
which I was lucky to be the president for the last 4 years. The tenure is usually 4 years. And so this
contractual?
No. It's an association.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's not like a job you're working
No,
on.
you get elected.
All right.
So you get elected by all archaeologists who work in Africa, including the ones that come from abroad, because it's a very, sorry to say this, but it's a very privileged discipline, because you require a lot of money to do archaeology. I don't mean to discourage anyone, but we have to look for money from abroad.
Right.
And funding, yes. Yeah. Because when you go to the field, you're going with a lot of people. You have to get 4x4s, because even where you're going to places which are not inhabited, or where it has not been farmed. The roads are bad and everything is bad, so you require a lot of money to do this.
Right.
And I think research money from our countries is not enough for such a thing.
Does it mean the government has not invested in that sphere a lot, or it's there but it's embezzled, or people don't pay attention?
No, I think it's that, the government is struggling with a lot of things other than just research.
Yeah.
Let's say if they're doing research, if they're funding research on probably something like health, education, that brings tangible evidence and tangible things immediately.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about research in terms of our origins,
historical,
although it's very important and people have not known the importance of it, then it's very difficult to get funding for it. So, but other countries really, some of them they know the benefits of doing it. And so this is one of the things that would like our country to think in terms of, if you're doing research on human origins, you're saying that all humanity started here. So to be able to tell the world about that, and also to encourage even tourists and anyone from any country to want to know, they all want to know their origin. So if this was packaged as a very good cradle of humankind, then I imagine anyone would want to come and see. They would want to come and see the hominids. They would want to come and see all the things that make us say that we are the cradle of humankind.
Right.
And that is development, if you ask me.
Right.
It brings money to the country. It also expands the tourism sector.
Right.
And I think the president is aware of this, because as you saw the other day, there is a task force that was for Turkana museum, which is going to deal with that.
In fact, digging into indigenous practices of way back that should be brought back today, that are real meaningful to people in their daily lives. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We'd want to bring self-pride to our own population, whereby when they think about culture, they're not thinking, and the Gen Z for that matter, they don't think about culture as something that is retrogressive.
Yeah.
They should think about how they can innovate using cultural things that have been used before.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm doing research in northern Kenya and southern Ethiopia, and I'm looking at containers, water and milk containers.
Water and milk containers from historically way back.
Yes, and they're still being used. Instead of plastics, pastoralists, the Gabra and the Borana.
Right.
They have those containers that they have made since whenever. And they are using, they're not using plastic, they're using roots, bags of roots to make containers that are like basketry. And those basketry are used for containing water and milk, and it doesn't pour. So such technology
Right.
it doesn't come out. Nobody knows that Africa and Africans have been doing something that is really important, but nobody, I mean, it has not come out and people don't know about it. So if you're talking about Gen Zs and anyone else who would want to leverage on this, they would want to look at this and see how can we work using indigenous knowledge and modern technology to come up with something that is really innovative.
Yeah.
So there are so many opportunities.
And now that there's artificial intelligence, which is borrowing different facets of, culture,
yes,
CGI, computer-generated images. And
exactly.
But then I'd like you to deep dive into your your recent assignment and findings, and why it's important for you to share that info, as well as maybe your first one that you remember nostalgically when you went on assignment.
Yeah. I think, let me talk about my PhD research. I did research on pottery.
Right.
There were some controversies about some pottery that is called Tanaware, which is along the coast of Kenya, Mad Island. And researchers, Mad Island, and researchers from all over the world who have worked there, they were conflicted about, was it made by Bantu, was it made by Cushitic people, who made it?
Right.
And I did ethnographic work to see how pottery is made. So you'll find that different ethnic linguistic groups, they make in a different way.
Right.
So Bantu people would draw the clay.
With their hands?
With their hands.
Okay.
The Cushitic people will make coils and build on them, pressing on them.
Right.
And then Nilotic people, they have a way of the way they make it. And so what happens, pottery making, the technology is passed through kinship. Mother passes to daughter. And it had been passed to her by the grandmother. So if you look back, you can find, if you look back and you're able to identify the technique in the archaeological record, you can be able to tell who actually did it. And so when I did my research, I was very surprised to see actually, I could tell that it was made by Bantu, because I was able to see 7th century pottery looking the same as 17th century and 21st century. And I could also tell that there were interactions between the Bantu and Cushitic people. So when I saw this, I was really surprised. I was like, who will believe me? Because already I could see that it was the Meru people, and I come from Meru. So I'm like, they'll think that I'm doing this.
You're promoting your culture.
Exactly. But the evidence was there.
Yeah, and you're saying you used ethnography.
Yes.
Maybe if you can explain what that
means. Ethnography is the current populations, how they do their things.
So you study
you study so that you can use like analogy. You can be able to look at that and compare. Exactly. Exactly. The other thing that I would want to mention, my other project.
So this is pottery.
Yes.
Okay.
Then there's the one on iron smelting, which is actually a pity that people don't know about it. That there has been iron smelting since, I think, 3,000 years. And where I've been working in Bere region around Mount Kenya, I found underground, about like a factory, where they were making iron, smelting iron. I was able to say this because I found several furnaces. Furnaces are those jikos for smelting.
That could possibly date back to
those ones
century?
Those ones were 14th century.
Wow.
Yes, I dated them, 14th century. And they were in a big space. So you find one here, one there, one there. So, and there's a lot of iron ore in that region. But look, we are not doing any harvesting of that, or even smelting to make our own iron metals. So yeah, there's a lot that archaeology can help in bringing out. And also, there's a lot that people can learn and use in terms of innovation, because they can come up with how do I extract this iron using modern technology.
Right.
And make a whole industry factory out of it. Yeah, so those are some of the things that, yeah. And then the other project I would want to talk about is their wells, pastoralist wells.
Water wells.
Water wells in northern Kenya and southern Ethiopia, where animals walk down the stairs to go and drink water. They are huge, they are beautiful, nobody knows about them.
You said it's in
northern Kenya,
yeah,
and southern Ethiopia. And the water is fetched using a human chain, where people go down the ground, they fetch water, you give the next person, so like 15 people, and then it's poured on in the trough for cows to drink or goats or whatever. And when during drought, this is the only place that you find water.
Right.
There's a lot of story about that. They were constructed about 1500 years ago, and they're still on.
Right. Are there maybe archaeological material and artifacts that date from way back that you've managed to bring into, let's say, the museum? And if a person watching this show right now, if we leave, they can be able to visit. It's the Kenya Museum?
Yes, National Museum of
Kenya. National Museum, right here. Are they able to go and visit? Please talk about.
Of course. There are so many, not me, but many other researchers.
Right.
There are so many materials that you'll find in National Museums of Kenya, including the oldest stone tool in the world.
Stone tool?
Yes, which is about 3.3 million years. Wow. That is where technology began. So even if we have phones now and TVs and everything, technology began here.
Right.
3.3 million years
ago.
You'll be surprised at the range of materials, beautiful and fascinating, that you'll find at the National Museums of Kenya, which are archaeological. Yes. And then you can relate those with the hominids. Hominids are the Homo, the ones that you know. Homo sapiens is the latest, but Homo erectus, Homo habilis, all those.
Zinjanthropus, they're just coming.
Yeah, depending on their cranial capacity and So there are many.
And which one specifically would you say? You've mentioned the stone tool. So this stone tool, was it a weapon or was it a tool that was used to excavate, dig, maybe kill and slaughter animals or light up fires? What is it?
Stone tools, you know, there were no knives that time. There were no spears because the iron smelting, as I said, started around 3,000 years ago. So before that, we are talking about millions of years, meaning that people were still doing something, eating, killing, slaughtering. What were they using? They were using stones. So you'll find stones which have been chopped in a way that they can cut. They have a cutting edge.
Right.
So they can cut. They can slaughter. They can cut meat. They can dig roots. Right. They can do a lot of things.
Or cultivate and do farming.
Farming started much later. Around farming started domestication. That is domestication of crops and animals. Yeah, that started around 4,000 years ago.
And how do you date this?
How do we date this?
Because I can imagine now, because I also believe, Dr. Freda, this is not a one-man show.
No.
When you are going to excavate and study, it means you have a whole compartment of people with you and with the tools to facilitate this excavation, dating and everything. So it means you work with a whole team behind you that helps you to do this, right?
Yes.
So what do they do? Because now for you, I believe you date, you write, you record, and all those things.
So first, let me answer your first question about how do we date? So we get datable materials like carbon. So we get, if you get charcoal, that is very good.
Charcoal.
For carbon 14 dating.
Right.
If you get bones, they extract collagen, which is also dated. It can tell you exactly the date when that site was used.
So it's a scientific procedure.
Yes, it is, but we don't even do that here. We have to take these samples abroad for dating.
What?
We don't have the equipment.
What? That's shocking.
Yes, we don't have the equipment.
Shocking.
We always have to send samples abroad.
So please take us to the process and then.
Okay, so the team is usually comprises, of course, the team leader. Like if I'm the PI, the project principal investigator, then I'll have maybe partners who are core investigators, or even myself alone, and then I'll have a team from the National Museum of trade excavators, and then I will have archaeologists and collection managers.
Yeah.
I will have the community also working with me. It's very important that we involve the community because the sites belong to them. At least it's their heritage,
right?
Because it's in their land. So I work with them, and then digging we dig with the nails, and you can go several meters down using nails and trowels like the ones that you use for plastering the house. We don't use djembes and forks because you can break things. So after doing that, that is when now after you get your materials, you go with them now to the museum to do the analysis.
Yeah, that means you work with the Jana Barabaro, watu wa mikono with you sometimes.
You must.
Because you now have to dig into the soil.
I dig.
You too, you do that?
Yes. Quite a lot, actually. Yeah.
So as you're walking even right now on your way, you're able to even spot something and say,
yes,
the way this soil is,
yes.
I believe there's something here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, archaeologists walk looking down. We almost bedding like this.
Like,
yes.
You're studying the ground.
Yes, all the time.
To look like a forensic analyst, a DCI investigator, and all those things.
Yes, we do that.
Now, I'm wondering, how do we lack facilities to, do the dating and everything, and now it has to be taken abroad? What happens in here? And how long does it take before they give feedback?
Actually, it depends on how much you pay.
What?
Yes, for the dating. If you pay, because they have a list of prices, and they'll tell you this will take this long, this will take this long, this will take this long. So it could take up to a month or 3 days. Yeah.
So do they physically deliver the info via letter and the material to the airport?
No, we have to take the materials to them.
Right.
We package them.
You export, in
short. We export, yes. And then after they have received them, you go through the paperwork, and then they do the analysis. Then they tell you, they do the analysis, and they said to you everything that they have found within your material and the dates, together with all the data that they have collected using your material.
What if they give you faulty or contradictory findings from what you found out? Because as a researcher, you have your own findings. It's like this. It's like a doctor. You've examined, you've done your diagnosis to this patient, and you refer them to another, and they're saying, I think they have, they have headache, but you know very well they have typhoid. So how do you, I'd say, have this feedback coherent with each other so that you agree that this is what it is and this is not what it is?
In fact, it's not just about agreement. It's about okay, how did you collect your samples? If your sample is contaminated, it will give you false results. So they'll tell you, this is what you sent and this is what you found. So think about how you collected your sample. For example, let's say you think it's old and you get young dates. Think about how was it handled? Did someone smoke around there for carbon, to be incorporated, or oil or anything? And if you're sure that you did it very well, then probably that charcoal might be younger than the site. So you have to do several dates. It's not their fault that they didn't get the date that you expected. So you have to do several dates to be able to to say for sure, yes, this is what it is. Yes.
So it's like over and over, a record, at least a short record.
Yes.
It's like a sketch.
Yes, but also you realize, we know that there are a lot of, we know the periods. So you can be able to compare with other periods of when you have the material, you know how they look like, and they were made during this period of a long space. So you can compare what were the dates for this site, what are the dates for this site, are they the same as the dates for this site? If they look different, then you know you have a problem.
Right.
So you can try to get more dates.
Yeah. Before we talk about how technology is assisting you and how you need a facelift to escalate archaeology and research, maybe you can talk about maybe what are the factors that I'd say favor archaeology and research, especially now in the modern day world. If you have to bring in things like climate conditions, typography, is it topography or typography of, let's say, the structure of land in that specific location, if you were to delve into it?
I think, well, if we take climate change, we'd think in terms of floods.
Right.
When it floods, everything comes to the surface. Because the topsoil, there's erosion. So the topsoil is removed, and then things that were under can be seen.
Is that bad news to you or good news?
To us, it's good news.
Okay.
Because even people from these communities where we work, sometimes they will see, that's how they will be able to see something, and they bring it over. Right. Or they say, we found something that is looking quite weird. So also the other thing is, like we found a lot of things along the Rift Valley because of the faulting and everything. So there was good preservation.
Right.
So there are various things within the environment that help us. And if a place is not also farmed, you are likely to find a lot of archaeological material. So we don't go doing archaeology in farmed areas because it's already interrupted.
Right.
Yeah.
So you, but then also that means that you have to interact with people of that community prior and tell them maybe, let's say if you were to focus right here at KBC, you have to inform the surrounding environment that, you know what, we have discovered something here. And what if they're interested in it and maybe they want to put monetary value on it? They say, before you pursue this or the boot to achieve. You know that Kenyan thing?
It has happened. Some places we've even been chased. And this is because you've not explained properly what you're doing. So what the community requires, in fact, what we do before even we can go to do the excavations, we have to talk to the leaders. We start from we have the letters from the national government, but you have to talk to the chief, you have to talk to the headman, you have to talk to the elders, everyone.
So in short, you informed local authorities before you proceed.
Yes. And then if they bring things about monetary and all that, you have to explain them that what you're doing is not commercial. You're not going to get anything out of it. And even if they want to sell it, they won't sell it anywhere because it's protected. So they would rather let you do the work so that you can come now and bring all this information to schools, to our kids, and for everyone to understand what was going on in this country before colonial period. So it is we agree, we should agree actually. Where they have found it difficult to accept us, you know, archaeologists are called grave diggers. And you know that
it's possible to even find out that, oh, there's Kumbe, the first, died here, and here are the bones. Is that shocking sometimes? Because I can't believe, I can imagine if they dig up a grave, that's already traumatizing to even the people there.
Yes, but the graves that we dig are not graves of people that they know. They don't even know that there's a grave there, but as we can tell. So we dig graves.
Right.
And they help us a lot in uncovering what was happening before.
In fact, was it the other day I was reading, they discovered, was it remains of a dinosaur? Are they saying, is it the first dinosaur? It could be. I think I was reading it on a blog. It could be maybe Puberty, one of those Instagram blogs where they do findings of shocking statistics in different locations. I don't know. Is it in Kenya where the first dinosaurs, were spotted, the bones?
No, dinosaurs are all over. But probably the blog you saw is one that I also saw, which is about this dinosaur that is in Germany, Berlin Museum, which was excavated in Tanzania.
Right.
It is in the Guinness Book of Records. It's the biggest dinosaur ever to have been mounted.
And how many feet, if you were to estimate?
I don't remember. I think 150 something. Yeah. I don't remember.
That's like this whole studio and...
Oh, yeah, it's
super big.
It
means its bones are consuming like half of that museum.
Yes, exactly. So it's the centerpiece of the Natural History Museum in Berlin. Yeah, so yeah, the dinosaurs are there. We've also excavated them here. But those are not our strong point, because you'll find dinosaurs everywhere.
Yeah.
Our strong point is human origins.
Right. Now, in terms of human practices, still on that, do you also delve into things like what did they consume? How did they, for example, if it was fruits, if it's animal, so how are you able to now find out that if it was milk, this is how they consumed milk? And now this is how milk is being consumed today, and this is how it was being consumed way back, because that's an interesting, find out.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's a very difficult thing to find out.
So how do you do that?
Because organic materials don't last long.
Right.
So you'll not find containers of organic materials. You will, but you can look at teeth. There are some chemicals that remain in the teeth. So people who are doing teeth analysis, they can find remains of some proteins that last very long, and so yes. And they can be able to say this is how old it is, and they can. And so if they are looking at a population, if they find this in many people within that population, then they can start talking about the behavior of milk, let's say milk consumption.
Right.
Yeah.
If they find even meat now.
Or even meat. Yeah, you can find different proteins that can tell you what was actually happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Because I can only imagine if you are able to find out something that happened 10,000 years ago and compare with now the normal human being now. Yeah. But then also, like you're saying, I think in the human evolution, there's a way the skull also evolved. If you're a believer in the Charles Darwin evolution theory.
Yes.
The way human beings looked way back is totally different from now.
Yes.
So how do you also bring that into perspective now? Because I want you to bring in now how technology is helping you to, advance and tell story about humanity from way back and today.
Okay. So one thing that technology is helping with is we are able to do ancient DNA. And so, yes, ancient DNA. So we are able to, some things that we were not able to tell before, like about communities, about populations, and how people have evolved. We are able to do this through ancient DNA. Like using metacardial DNA of Eve, it's called Eve. We can tell that the Eve woman, that is the gene in the woman, came from here in Africa.
Whoa.
And then we can also, looking at the Y chromosomes, we can see...
You're able to tell it's a male?
No, we can tell that the first father was from here.
Was from here.
About 200 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, 200,000 years. Ooh. So that is helping. Yeah, that is when the first Homo sapiens left Africa to go to the other parts of the world.
So did they leave us baboons and chimpanzees
and
apes?
No.
Because that's what the theory says. Apes, is it apes?
Yeah.
Or and then it evolved to something else, and then finally, So maybe if you can shortly tell.
So that is when we look at the evolution theory. What happens is that, and it's a question that many people ask actually.
Right.
When you dig, you can find layers, whereby at the bottom you find like Australopithecus and all those that Zinja, the ones that you know. Those are not humans. So when you go up, and there's no human skull in that stratigraphy.
Where did it go?
It wasn't there. No.
Okay.
It wasn't there. So if you dig, the oldest that we have, it's like 7 million from Baringo. Then around 4,000 years, we see in Turkana we have like 4 of them living together. Some got extinct, and then we were left with one. So this is where you have the Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Homo ergaster, and then this is around between 4 million and 2 million years. And then as you proceed, when you find one, let me put this into perspective.
Please.
When you find, let's say, Homo habilis, with all its features,
Right.
the next one that you'll find in the stratigraphy is Homo erectus,
Right.
who has some features of Homo habilis, but Homo habilis is not here. You see what I mean? Right. So this feature that you saw at the bottom will be different. The skull that you saw here will be different from the one that you see up. You go up some more.
Meaning it evolved.
Yes. I mean, science, it's there. You come and see. We invite people to come to the museum, and especially to the paleontology department of or archaeology department. It's our heritage.
Right.
Let them come and say they want to go behind the scenes.
So you're able to take them through that?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We'll show them. And so you'll find there's no point, at no point, that Homo sapiens ourselves existed before 300,000 years.
What tells that?
Because when you find the skeleton or the skull of Homo sapiens, you don't find Homo habilis, you don't find Homo erectus, you don't find Anthropomorphines, you're only finding Homo sapiens. And the features of Homo sapiens have developed. You can see the Homo habilis or Homo erectus, you can see their features which are together with others which have developed.
Right.
What do you say about that? Are you going to say that it didn't happen?
Right.
And it's all there, you can see it?
So you can at least argue with, facts.
Yes,
because
completely, completely.
Right. I hope this conversation makes it to international platforms where you get invited to just give deeper insights and the depth that you have. Because I believe Gen Zs should be privy to this info, in as much as they don't like the dirty work or delving into things that are not flashy and rosy. But I think it's an imperative conversation that we need to continuously have. Yeah,
in fact, what we want to do is at the museum is to come up with a program where actually we can be involving the public in excavations. If you want to go with me to Turkana or wherever, then you can be able to come and participate.
Right. I think there's a question here that came through. Let me just get to it. I think it's an important question if you were to answer. Yes, about endangered domestic ancient material. What are the shocking discoveries you've come across? And also the ancient African human evolution and civilization. Maybe you can talk about endangered domestic ancient material that you've managed to come up with that maybe it's fading away. Or maybe it's so much of value that there's people who are looking for it outside Kenya, in Africa at large. You can talk about that shortly.
You call it endangered what?
Endangered ancient domestic material.
Ancient is quite...
I believe it could be archaeological, maybe, if we can say that.
Yeah, so I imagine domestic materials that we are talking about during archaeological period are stone tools, pottery.
Yeah, but how could they be endangered anyways? Or maybe they are so much of value that they are being looked for to be sold, or maybe to be displayed in museums.
Archaeological materials are a bit difficult for just anyone to look for in the field.
Right.
You have to be an archaeologist to know what you're looking for.
Right.
And so the endangerment that would be is from development projects. Let's say like when you're prospecting for oil.
Right.
You just go and start digging and removing things. So what happens? You've lost all the materials underground. So that is endangerment.
Right.
And so what we are doing about that is educating the public on how to identify archaeological materials, how to understand that there's a road that is going to pass through here.
Yes.
And they can actually have a conversation with the developer and say, these archaeological materials or cultural materials, if this road passes here, it's going to destroy our heritage. Can you divert it so that it can go to maybe a few meters away or wherever it is. So we are trying to help the community understand how archaeological materials look like, and to speak eloquently about them.
It, and so be able to tell a story about it passionately. Now you have an event coming up called, please let us know about the event on 29th of November.
Yes,
please, shortly talk about it.
Yes, so we have an event that is called Planet Africa. We are doing it together with our colleagues, archaeologists from Germany. It has been, it's funded by German, and it's a traveling exhibition.
Right, it's a time travel, that's what you've indicated here.
Yeah, it's called time travel.
Archaeological time travel.
I think it has a double meaning there, because time travel, one of it is that it's going to be traveling.
Yeah, it takes you back.
Yes, it takes you back from archaeological times to modern times.
Modern times, yeah.
And also, it's going to be traveling in different cities.
Wow, yes.
In Germany.
And now I've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah, now I've seen it.
Yes, so the exhibition starts with Africa as a continent, and it's talking about how huge the continent is. There are facts that many people don't know, because it occupies like 22-point-something% of land mass, where you have the whole of United States can enter Africa, including UK, including France, including China, India.
What?
Yes. So what you see on the map is not how Africa looks like.
What? So you mean we've been sold a land?
Yes, it's very big.
So in short, you're going to deconstruct this land?
Yes, it's quite big. It's bigger than what is projected.
What we have,
Yes.
Okay.
And then this exhibition is going to be presented in 20 showcases, boxes.
Right.
And each box, each side of the box has information that it's giving. We have audios, we have visuals, and we are going to talk about Planet Africa as it is. Another box will be talking about evolution.
Yes.
Another box will be talking about diversity. Another box will be talking about
perspectives now?
Yes, perspectives.
Okay.
So all the boxes have particular things that they are talking about, and we want the public to come and engage with it.
Right.
Ask questions. Let it provoke your thinking about Africa, so that you can come back
refreshed?
Completely.
Refreshed.
And talk to us about what you think about it. Yes, we really want to hear.
And also what you know. Is it an exchange where you interact with, this is what we inform you, and then we can also feed you?
Yes, of course.
So it's an interactive session.
Yes, it's interactive.
Okay.
So we would like to get all the feedback that we can about it. We want to educate everyone about the fascinating, this fascinating continent.
Right.
Which actually a lot of people don't appreciate, even our own selves. That is why you see people running away to go to Europe or America and fighting to get visas, which take forever to get, or even they don't get, and they continue filling green cards, not knowing that what we have here
is powerful.
It's powerful, and everyone wants to come and live here. Where they want to go, they want to come here.
Right.
So we should build our country.
So when is the event happening, time and
The event is happening on the 29th, Friday.
This is this week?
Yes, this week. And it will be opened around 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yes.
Location?
National Museums of Kenya.
Apat.
Yes. Yes.
So who should come? Open to the public, anyone? Or
It's
is
open
there
to
age limit, even kids?
Anyone.
And now that the holidays are here.
Yes, let them come. Anyone. And it will run for the next probably 6 months.
Right, meaning till 2025, up to June.
Yes, but what happens is that it will stay as long as we have good audience coming, and but we hope we can have it for a long time, so that people can come and see. Right. Because it's all about Africa. It's Africa.
So the Wazungus are allowed to come?
Of course. Of course. You see, we've done
And of course, they're the most who are usually interested a lot. I don't know why Africans don't care much about, learning about us. It's mostly foreigners who come, oh, we went to a certain museum, and they'll even televise it, they even put it on a magazine, but for us here.
Yeah. Allow me to say the problem is that our cultural practices were demonized during colonial period.
When religion was brought in?
That is also the other thing.
Okay.
And so what happened is that people started looking at culture as retrogressive. Yeah. So you don't want to be associated with it. So when you ask people, they tell you ask people about museum, they'll tell you this is where old things are kept. Right. That is not true. There is a lot that is going on in the museum. It's
a library. It's like visiting a book library.
Yeah, exactly. To read, There is a lot that is going on within the museum. We have, at the museum, we have more than, let me say, 70 PhD researchers who are doing all sorts of research. Not only cultural heritage, not only archaeology and paleontology, but from animals, everything. So, and when they do that, they put it in the exhibition. Right. So the exhibitions, there are new exhibitions all the time. And we really encourage people to come and see what we have.
Entry is free?
No.
No, there's a charge.
There's a small fee for locals.
Yeah, so please tell them how they can get the details, get hold of the details. If there's a website and number very fast because you are exiting, tell them this is your camera and why they should come, please, in just 30 seconds.
Okay. Yes. I want to ask people to find time to come to the museum because they will learn a lot. You cannot move forward if you don't know where you've come from. So we encourage you to come to see this exhibition so that you can see Africa in one space. To be able to come in, it's free this time for the launch. You're not going to pay anything. And the museum website, you can visit our museum website where you'll see a lot of other things, which is www.museums.
Does it have Kenya in between?
No.
Or if they visit Museum of Kenya website, they'll
find it. They'll find it. I might not be able to say the whole address just now. Okay. Yeah, but if you Google National Museums, there isn't any other National Museums of Kenya.
Or just walk through Upper Town.
Yeah, just walk. Yes. Museum Hill. A lot of people know Museum Hill. On your way to Westlands.
Penye kuna kuangana traffic sana sometimes.
Yeah, but good news is that it's very close to town. Yes. So you can just walk there, University Way, and you get to the museum. Right. You are all welcome. Please come and join us.
Come on, come all. Yes. Families, kids, students, everyone.
Yes. And they should not only just come for this exhibition, they should keep coming. We have quite a lot that we want to show them. Yes.
I'd love to be there, so we'll work on it.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Freda Nkirote Mbogori, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's a researcher and archaeologist at Kenya
National Museum.
Right, ensure that you find out. If there's any question, please send it to me. I'll tell her off the air. So, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. Yes.
All right, we also say thank you for being with us in this segment. We're going to take a very short meeting break. We'll be coming back with the next guest on Up Close and Personal in just a bit. Thank you for staying with us.